They're all inside cage. They're just sleeping. They don't want to go out. There they are. Inside. They don't want to get out. How could that be? Hey, penguin! Come here! Come here! They're inside. And there's lots of birds there. Lovebirds.
Hello, my name is Jaden, and welcome to our Humboldt Penguin Habitat. So we do have two Humboldt penguins here at Sea Life Park, and they're both currently on your left side inside that far left burrow. So they are very much like cats, so they will be approaching me for the food. So I will shake my cooler, much like you would with a cat in a treat bag. But ultimately, it is up to them whether or not they want to come out and eat at this time. So I'll cross my fingers and hope you guys are able to get a better look at them. So as I mentioned, we have two Humboldt penguins. We have Wingnut, who is the one closer to the opening of the burrow. And then right behind him is his sister, AJ, or Almond Joy. So the most common question here that we get is, isn't it a little too hot for them? Don't they need ice and snow to survive? Well, there are about 17 species of penguin, and they're all found in the southern hemisphere. They're found in places like South America, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, the Galapagos Islands, and even Madagascar. So some really hot places. However, you all would be right in thinking that there are penguins in the ice and snow, as the emperor-dwelling penguins can be found in Antarctica all year round. About 5 to 6 other species visit them throughout the year. And as I mentioned in the beginning, this is the Humboldt Penguin Habitat, and that's because we have Humboldt penguins here at Sea Life Park. And the Humboldt penguin can be found in South America, off the coast of Chile and Peru. So our penguins here are really accustomed to this type of weather, as over there it can reach up to over 100. They do, however, get their name, the Humboldt penguin, from the Humboldt Current, which is a current that comes up northward from Antarctica that is really cold and nutrient rich. So although they are warm weather birds, they have adaptations to them that have allowed them to withstand this cold current. One of which being their feathers. So I know it's a bit hard to see, especially with them being in the back of that far left burrow, but they do have tons and tons of feathers on their bodies. So much so that there's about 70 feathers per square inch. And that's about the size of a quarter. So again, they have tons and tons of feathers on their bodies. But they actually have 2 layers of feathers. They have a layer of top feathers and a layer of down feathers. So their top feathers are woven together and help create a water-resistant seal that acts like a wetsuit for the penguin. While underneath that, their down feathers are soft and fluffy and help keep them nice and warm. And then underneath that layer of down feathers, they have a layer of blubber, which again, helps keep them nice and warm, but it also acts like an energy reserve for the penguin. So with all that combined, the they're again able to withstand that cold current that gives them their name. So another adaptation that you might have noticed is that fancy tuxedo of theirs. And you might be wondering why they're so dressed up. So that tuxedo is a form of camouflage called countershading. And it could be seen on various species here at Sea Lake Park, like our dolphins, for example. But for the case of our penguins here, when they're looked at from above the water, their black backs would blend in with the sea floor. And then when looked at from below, their white bellies would blend in with the sea surface water. So it acts like a form of protection and will also help them hunt, as they'll swim underneath their prey and then catch it from below. However, like I did mention, it is a form of protection, and that's because they have predators on both land and in the sea. On land, predators can be things like snakes, coyotes, foxes, cats and dogs, and even rodents for the cases of their eggs. While in the water, predators can be things like seals, sea lions, sharks, and orcas. So things we can kind of expect. So another adaptation that penguins have is the shape of their bodies. And you might be thinking that they look a bit funny, but their wings are shaped like paddles, and they move them up and down, swimming up to about 17 miles per hour. While their feet are webbed and act like rudders for the penguin, so they use them to steer themselves into any direction that they want to swim into. And on their feet they have claws. As you can see here in this habitat, it's a bit of a rocky beach setting. So that's what they'd have out in the wild. So those claws are really helpful for them because they use them to grip onto rocks. And then the last adaptation that I'd like to mention is that penguins have a gland within them that allows them to swallow in salt water and sneeze out the salt. So they have tons and tons of adaptations to them that have allowed them to thrive in and out of the water. So another thing about the Humboldt penguin is they're typically a monogamous species. So what that means is that they'll stay together with the same partner for their entire lives, as long as that partner returns back to their breeding grounds. However, if something were to happen to their partner, then they would be able to find another one. And a female typically lays about 1 to 2 eggs at a time. And that's for her and her partner, as both males and females have egg pouches. So it actually makes it really hard to tell the difference between a male and a female penguin. The only way to be able to tell is by doing a blood test. However, like I was saying, a female will typically lay about 1 to 2 eggs at a time. And her and her partner will take turns sitting on the egg while the other will go out to hunt. And they'll go back and forth with that for about 40 to 45 days, as that's how long it takes for the eggs to hatch. And then once the egg has hatched, they'll raise the chick for about 72 days before allowing it to go off to hunt for itself. So the last thing that I would like mentioning about the Humboldt penguin is unfortunately at this time they are considered a vulnerable species. And the top 3 reasons for that are overfishing, pollution, and trash piling up in their ocean homes. So it's incredibly important that we as individuals do our most to help this species and various others. And that could be using things like our 3 R's, which are reduce, reuse, and recycle. And just being mindful of our single-use plastic usage can be a very big help. So at this time, that is about all that I have for you all. So if you do have any questions, feel free to raise your hand and I'll answer at this time. Are there any questions? All right. If there are no questions, then I will be attempting to feed the 2 of them. However, like I mentioned in the beginning, they are very much like cats. So it is completely up to them whether or not they want to come out and eat at this time. And if they do decide not to eat, then I will also be providing room service. So I'll be attempting to feed them in the back of the habitat as well. So the next talk that Sea Life Park will be having will be right behind you all at our Seabird Sanctuary. And that talk will be at 11:30. And at 11:45, we'll have a sea lion talk on your right-hand side at our California Sea Lion Habitat. I hope you all have a great rest of the day here at Sea Life Park. Aloha and mahalo.
Hindi naman parawan.
Pagawat kapoy.
Come on, come on! Tapos,
Xịt có啲gì không? Có ở bàn cha nó mà thầy đồ có lại rồi có thể.
come on! Come on, come on!
Mấy sai đi. Chừng sợ cái gì ra ngoài hết. Come here.
Wala na gito yung Maya. Come on. Come on.
Vô. Ay, tập mắng à. Dạ. Sao lại hỏi cái gì nó kêu gì pha pha nó nhà rồi.
Kuberan na ata magida malumwa. Bikin ni ana. Tama na gari ka nung mga
Còn phải còn cần ngồi đường này sao được không có chồng nó lên chồng như này đấy.
Nalagtan up. Yeah.
Come on, come on, come on.
Mà đeo thằng chạy thằng chạy
Pandagkatan.
Seabird Sanctuary.